Batman number 124, written by Joshua Williamson, with art by Howard Porter, Jorge Fornes, Tomei Morey, and Clayton Cowles, and a backup of Poison Ivy, backup written by G Willow Wilson, with art by Danny Trish Mulville and Hassan Atsamane Al-Hawao on the
backup should have been a part of the main Poison Ivy run because it feels really important to that story. But I think we read the Poison Ivy for the Spotlight on Thursday night. I hadn't read Batman yet, so I didn't get the idea of what that had like in the backup of here has leading into that and the importance of it. But it feels really weird to be in a one-shot backup of the last issue of Joshua Williamson's
especially in
Batman.
the same week.
Yeah.
So why not just put it in? That should have been part of the Poison Ivy book, and maybe give Joshua Williamson a couple more pages to tell a damn story.
Well, if I can put it out in a goddamn free comic book day or something.
I really think that the deal here, maybe, and this is probably not the case, but in my mind, this is how it felt: is that Joshua Williamson had nothing to write about to end his run. When you end a run, you should be able to at least have a victory lap, and that drives us nuts sometimes. But he has nothing to grab onto, nothing at all. So when he tells the story, maybe he didn't come up with enough pages. Everybody,
you want some more Abyss? No.
Yeah, I put as my header a miss, Eric. Oh my goodness, I was on point there. But maybe they're like, well, I don't have enough pages. Can we get something? Well, let's grab the first 5 pages of the Poison Ivy book. Because when we did, and this was on our Patreon Spotlight when we talked about Poison Ivy, and I said to you, did you read the backup? Now, that is no shade. You don't have to, and there's no mention. So with that, how are people supposed to know? Why would I want to read a Batman
backup for Poison Ivy number 1?
Exactly. It's a number 1, but yet you had a backup. And not that it's not necessary, but it kind of is and really elevates it.
If you
it feels very
invested
important
in the Poison Ivy series, you should definitely read the backup to this issue's Batman.
You really
first.
should. Yeah, and they really, that's one of the things. Yeah, put it in a backup here. Really, they should have put that back up for free on the app.
The story than the actual first issue did.
Well, and I didn't really like the actual issue as much as you did, but I did tell you I really liked the backup. And so going in, it kind of threw me off a little whatnot, but it really sets things up with the gardener. It shows her anger. It explains what's going on. It shows her losing
the connection, going from green to freaking like Caucasian skin color to what she's actually doing with this freaking Lamia fungus, like poisoning. How she's going from pretty much everything that the first issue should have set up or doing in a backup.
And with that, just take notice. We're ending a run of Batman, and we're talking about the backup that's Poison Ivy.
Fuck this Batman issue. What are we doing with this Batman issue? Because the Poison Ivy backup is the best part about this issue. Let's go back to Badnesia, because I heard that, Abyss is still out and about, even though we thought we took them down, but they might have gotten away. Oh, it's Detective Cahey. I'm like, oh, looks like you're the Abyss now. Let me teach you about why it's not okay to kill.
Yeah. So with that, all that you just said, that's what we get. Now, it doesn't make sense in the story that progressed up to this point, number one, but also it just shows you, and I see people saying, it's such a shame, Joshua Williamson, this was such a great run. Really? Because what you ended up having now...
The 5 issues?
You can say part of it gets taken over by the Shadow War. So that's one thing. But
oh, yeah. For some reason, I guess it is more than 5 issues, but I don't take the Shadow War into consideration.
But think of this. When you go and think about the run, I do think people will take Shadow War out of that.
I did. I just had it for the last month.
I know most people do. So you would end up having that as a separate thing for that story. So what you're really going to have as his run of Batman is one story that really sucked. It was nothing. This run will be forgotten.
What are you talking about? That story is going into a freaking spinoff with Batman Incorporated this fall.
I think that they have Tynan on the mind. They think that anybody on Batman comes up with characters or other things and, oh my God, we got to have this, that, and the other thing. Nonsense. So when you end up, Joshua Williamson, hey, you're going to end your run. And I think, and here's a step aside moment a bit. I think that his run was oh my God, Tynan didn't sign the contract. We're screwed. Who are we going to get? Hey, Joshua, will you mind writing a quick, little arc or whatnot, maybe tie into your Shadow War before we can get somebody else to go on? I do think that that's what it was. Doesn't mean that the story was good, though. This story of Abyss and Badnesia, when you get into this...
Lex Luthor's Batman Incorporated as a whole.
He has nothing to write about because really, this should be a Batman Incorporated. You set up Batman Incorporated to specifically go after this exact type of threat. But yeah, Batman go because Joshua Williamson knows that it's not really Abyss, that it's K-Hub, that's personal. So send Batman in, he's already there. But even to start with, where you have a couple and they're coming out, or at least passing the mark of Zorro.
You mean the hipster Thomas Wayne of Badnesia?
Yeah, really. It's Thomas Wayne-nesia.
I'm telling you see this couple walk out and go down a dark alley, but when you have the hipster goatee, like long hair, but, with the fedora and the long, formal kind of coat coming out here. And when I see it, though, it's like, come on, baby, ain't nobody gonna hurt us down here. You dig? Because Abyss, he's out of here. He's Splitsville. And that's what it looks like to me. And that's how I hear him talking when they're doing this. But ultimately, it's just, hey, you remember how the Waynes were killed down a dark alley? Well, guess what?
No, I don't, Eric. Tell me.
Here's Abyss. And then she's going to threaten this person because she's going to find out. And I say she does because we have to get to the point where we discover, oh my God, Detective Keha has taken on the persona of Abyss so she can find out who kidnapped her parents all of them decades ago.
All of that, first off, also looks like the Phantasm, as Abyss kind of always has. But when you end up having this, what happens in that alley? Because it certainly looks like there's murder going on in that alleyway.
It's just also, dropping pearls.
Well, there's an I see maybe some blood splatter, but a lot of red and running. But what is, and we know it's Keha, what is Keha doing here? Because she says later, I'm saying later, it's very quick. There's really nothing set up here of any mystery. You end up, oh my God, Abyss, in a panel later. It's me. So you end up where she says that she's tightening the screws on some really bad people to find out who was the hitman that kidnapped. I love the idea of a hitman kidnapping. No, Keha, you should really realize your parents are dead.
Well, the thing is, she was a child she never grew out of because that really stunted her growth. The hitman who kidnapped my parents, because they're still alive because I still have hope. Yeah, they're dead, Keha.
So what is she doing in this alley? Because all you're doing, Joshua Williamson is trying to play up the, oh my God, Abyss is still around. So you get not really a scene. You don't know what happens. It looks like there's murder, but there probably isn't. She says later that she's threatening some bad people.
I scared all the right people, and now I have the identity of the hitman who kidnapped my parents.
I'm going to where he's been hiding. Hipster couples.
Only they know. Well, I say hipster, but it's like a beatnik couple for whatever reason.
Why are you going so far to have them wear the mark of Zorro? Playing at let's take a...
Because all we have to do, that's the whole thing, is this entire issue is Batman showing up, and the idea is like, I'm going to find the person who kidnapped my parents, and when I find out who they are or that they killed my parents, I'm going to kill them. Are you here to stop me, Batman? I'm not here to do anything. And it's ultimately just playing on the idea of Batman Incorporated with what we did here with what you know of Batman already. We have to have the couple go down Crime Alley. We have the fucking pearls dropping. And we have the idea of the person trying to make themselves into a symbol of fear to get to the person who destroyed their life. And then the idea well, are you going to become the person who crosses the line, or are you going to be like Batman who decides, I don't need to be like the people who killed my parents. I need to be better and stuff like that. It is just the idea of playing off the Batman mythos in an entire issue, which doesn't go anywhere because it plays out exactly how you expect it to play out with things you already know.
And with that going in this, you end up having Batman where, Barbara, Oracle, calls and says, hey, Batman, there's mention. I love there's mention. It's like all over the news. Abyss is back in town. Doing some things. Should I call Batman Incorporated? No. You're already in Badnesia, which completely goes against why he made Batman Incorporated. I wish that what happened here was, just a little simple little twist. I tried to call Batman Incorporated, but that damn Ghostmaker, he didn't answer, so you're going to have to take care of this. And then he
ghosted me.
Yeah, really. And so with that, somebody has also, think Abyss, has burnt down the LexCorp building. And all this going on seems like, again, Batman just shows up and I don't know what's going on. I know. And then it's just revealed. Nothing really happens here. I wish maybe we had a little more room so Batman thinks it's Abyss and goes and tries to figure it out.
Even with the idea when Batman is talking to Detective Keha about what she's going to do and how they're going down a parallel way of how they became who they are now. But when I trained to become the Batman and then I found out the man who killed my parents, he turned himself in when I was out there training. So when I got back, I wanted to see this guy. So we go through the story of Batman sneaking into prison, putting on a guard's costume, but a uniform. And then going up and he's thinking, what am I going to do when I see this Joe Chill for the first time? And I'll be like, I chose not to be him. I'm like, cool, Batman, I know. It's a good thing that you're telling everybody how you don't kill people.
What I think he should be investigating is who keeps buying him the dude cat. Because, as a little kid, Joe Chill comes to the alley, has the dude cap, and now in prison still has maybe the same dude cap. I don't know, Eric, but that's been years.
He's just got a funny shaped head because you never see it in the cell because of the shadows.
You see the shadow. He's wearing it, but it's kind of goofy.
He's got a weird shaped head. You never knew that.
If you had more room, maybe you could have something with this. If it was later on, maybe, down the road, all of a sudden, oh my God, Abyss is back and Batman's on the case. Because one of the things that I think would have been cool is Batman trying to figure out if this really is Abyss and maybe noticing Keha, who I'm not saying, isn't enhanced by the suit, maybe, but is now just, rootin' tootin' superheroing around when she wasn't that.
Like, I don't know what Abyss's powers were, except for had this weird alien symbiote thing that made your eyes turn black. I don't know.
So now she's going around, jumping around like she's Nightwing, but we never saw that. Never would have thought that was the case. No,
Chaos instantly Huntress in this costume.
Yeah, that's what it is. And it's too quick. If you would have had this and it would have been
she
something.
She kind of is just Huntress, it feels like here, and that's all she is.
It would have been a cool idea a year from now where we kind of forget about Keha. We kind of, oh my God, Abyss is back.
I didn't need a year.
You could at least see, though.
All I needed was a Shadow War.
You could at least say that she had time to train, that she ended up being inspired by Batman, maybe thinking she's doing exactly what Batman would have done. Then you really could have Batman. No. That's like, you don't even get that angle because she doesn't know
she
what
had
Batman
a hot weekend.
did, right? Yeah, a hot weekend.
Batman left. I put on Abyss's clothes. I struck fear into the heart of Badnesia. Batman's back.
It would have been a cool play here, and they tried to do it. Josh Williamson tries to do it. He can't do it because of the quickness of it, but you ended up having Lex start the Batman Inc. of Lex. Hey, Abyss is my version of a Batman. That didn't work out well. It wasn't great. Well, then later on,
didn't seem like any of them turned out great.
Keha then tries to say, well, I'm going to do it the right way, but still gets it wrong because she thinks that she should end up murdering the person who murdered her family. And then Batman can come and say, and you'd have some connection there, maybe even a little detective work. But he chases her down for a second. She pulls it's me. I just want to tell you, I'm using fear to try to get people to tell me, and I'm just about to find the guy who killed my parents, kidnapped my parents, and I'm going to go and I'm going to kill them, and I need your help, though, because there's going to be a lot of ninjas there, so let's go. And they go, and like you said, Batman then ends up telling his story that we all know. You end up where they're fighting these guys, and Keha gets to the guy, and at least she has closure by the end. They reveal where the grave was, but she's going to kill him. Batman doesn't even say, he's just standing there. Are you going to stop me? Because I'm going to do it. You
even that, because when Keha has this guy by the throat and has her claws out, like she's just going to go and cut his throat out with the claws of Abyss right now.
Meow!
It is just page.
Meow!
It was just page after page of, so you going to stop me, right? Because I'm going to do it. You going to stop me, right? I'm like, we actually spent a couple pages with her just, waiting for Batman to stop her and Batman doing dick about it. And I'm like, why? Why did we do this? Because I don't understand, like, even when at the end, like, would Batman have stopped it? Like, it just feels like a weird situation that you don't need to put somebody into the situation for no reason at all.
And even that, you have that play, and it kind of made me roll my eyes each time. This hitman, that hitman, come on now. And then
she has the mind of a child.
She goes up and says, and again, this would be something that might really put it on the line of, is she going to do it or not? When she says, where are June and Joy Keha? And this hitman says, I don't know who the hell you're talking about. No, this guy knows. Oh, them?
Yeah, that was decades ago.
It should have been, I don't know who you're talking about. They must have been like, what? They're nothing to you? And then now you really have the chance that she might kill. And so she doesn't, though, anyway. And then this guy just, I'll tell you everything. Get that Abyss away from me. And with that, it ends where even the idea that she burnt down an entire LexCorp tower.
That's fine. Everybody wants to do that.
She stole, but again, I'm talking about in the town. It seems like this is case closed, and luckily we probably won't see Abyss again. Nobody thinks anything of Abyss. And then she says, I grabbed Abyss's tech. Why didn't Batman go and check things out or whatnot? It's just laying around. But yeah, she has it. She's going to kill this guy and doesn't.
Word on the street that Abyss is back. For all the police know, it is case closed because those motherfuckers had a body.
Well, I'm telling you, no. I'm saying the guy, as they take him away, he's yelling, take me away. Keep me away from this Abyss. And then they go,
crazy.
Take him down, boys. But yeah, it's in the news that everybody's saying that Abyss is back. That's why it's just the whole idea
People going
of this.
around talking about Bigfoot's doing this, that, and the other thing. I think he kidnapped Elvis.
I don't think that I've seen that actually on CNN or any of the major news networks that are reporting here. and the police kind of knowing. But also, just to get this, I think that this is like a week later. And this doesn't feel like it's that much longer since they were there. So what is she there? Like you said, a hot weekend? Oh, my God, a business back. Burned down the building. Oh, my goodness. But yeah, and then it just ends with
electrical fire.
Why didn't you kill, that guy who did that thing to whatever you're talking? Because he's being very cryptic about it as well.
Yeah. And he doesn't want to say, oh, yes, I'm Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I thought that at one point I was actually going to go back because I swore that he ended up revealing his identity to her.
Well, he had his mask off, but he was going to keep himself in the shadows.
Yeah, I think that I thought at one point that he ended up like stepping up and saying, but maybe he didn't. Maybe we were just joking about it. But he's going to go off and she says, why didn't you kill that? Or did you kill that guy? The guy who did that thing to you? And he says, no, I was in the darkness and I looked and I didn't like what I saw. What did you see, Batman? I saw myself. I'm like, all right, get out of town. This stinks.
I am done with Bad Knees, so let's leave now.
Bad Knees, done. And Josh Williamson, done. And I'll give the benefit of the doubt. He just has too much on his plate. And this was just something that he was given a solid to them to do. Let's get to Chip Zdarsky. Hopefully there's some... it better be more hard-hitting than this, because this whole run, besides, again, the Shadow War, you can put aside with the Shadow War, but this story, Bad Knees, it's forgettable. Nobody's going to remember this. It's a blip on the Batman deal. But then you go to the G Willow Wilson backup with Danny on art, and I'm not a big Danny fan. This actually plays out pretty good. I like it more than all the other Danny stuff.
I was so mad reading this, though, looking at it, just because of the idea of I had already read the Poison Ivy #1, where you have Caucasian-looking skin on Poison Ivy. And here, when you have the green skin, I'm like, oh, they don't even have any continuity between this. But the whole thing is, you got to calm down, slow your roll sometimes,
because she's going off.
The goddamn issue. Because even the idea is her connection to the green is severed at this point in time for what's happened to her, combining with her other Poison Ivy self. It's diminished her powers and her connection is fading. So as this goes on, she actually, molts to a degree, peels off the green skin to find more of a Pamela Isley underneath. And I'm like, okay, that is done really well.
Yep, I agree. And I told you when we were talking about it, I did think that it was a better, story to start with, and does mention some things when she is talking to the gardener and talking, I'm going to go back to him. I'm going to get my stuff. Oh, you can't, for all the things he did. And if you know the new kind of, background between the gardener and Pamela, it is Jason Woodrue. So that's where I kept saying about that. That's more intriguing than anything I got in that first issue. But this was a pretty good backup. And if you are enjoying or want to read the Poison Ivy book, I do think you should read it. I think you should read this backup. That's the best thing in this book. The Batman story was nothing. That was just the idea that the way you're going to end your run is, oh my God, Keha dresses up as Abyss to try to find her parents. This would have been a story that I would have rolled my eyes in an annual whenever. And yet, as a finale, it really shows you didn't have much during your run. But what would you give this overall?
Because of the Poison Ivy backup, we're going to give this a 6.5 out of 10. But ultimately, I did not like this issue of Batman. I'm only here for the backup, which is a weird situation because why would you just be for a Batman book for a weird Poison Ivy backup?
And but it does way more. Run, right?
Exactly. And it does way more for the Poison Ivy #1 than this does as a Batman finale to Joshua Williamson's run, because it pretty much just does a been there, done that situation with every fan who reads Batman, knows about Batman. You have a new person taking on a Batman Inc. kind of persona of Abyss. They have a similar origin as Batman, and why they don't kill it just doesn't do much as an original kind of story. But the Poison Ivy backup continues on with where we left off in the Fear State and Poison Ivy, Pamela Isley's journey. So I like it a lot.
Yeah, I started giggling. I gave it a 5.5, but I started giggling because also then Batman goes, hey, by the way, here's a card. Go join Batman Inc. I'm like, really? That's what we're going to do now?
You earned it, kid. You didn't murder that guy.
So if she goes off as Abyss to be in Batman Inc., does that mean that the real Abyss who got away and just ran off, is that
It should just be Batwoman of Badnesia. You know how we do with all this stuff with if you ever Batman Inc., I'm like, oh, I'm the Batman of this. I'm the Batman of that.
I think she's just going to be Abyss. I think she's going to be in that because Abyss already was the Batman of Badnesia, according to Lex.
Well, it's abysmal.
So, I'm saying, where is that other... what happens with the other Abyss who kind of got away and ran off? So, I don't know. This is nonsense. But yeah, we didn't even mention that he says, hey, go join Batman Inc. Really? Everybody's joining up. I think I'm on Batman Inc. now if I wait 2 days. Probably not.
You got that toddler ball problems. You're not getting through insurance.
No, they said I'm a baller. is what they said.
They didn't say that.
I'm like, let's have a ball, baby. I said, hey, I'll have 3. It seems.
You're gross.
But like I said, I give it a 5.5. Not impressed. And the backup is better, but for a finale and a Batman book and combined Batman for that nonsense.